Okay, hello everybody. I'm just starting to build my first buildings for this. I'm just going to start using palette. I'm just going to leave this surface on, which is a peel back layer. Keep the layer clean. I'm going to mark everything up on top. I'm just going to build 4 of these hat blocks at the same time. So I'm just going to do this one for a minute. So first of all, I've already measured off the dimensions. I'm going to take the long dimension, which is 203mm. This way. I've got a long and short steel rule. I'm not going to show you all this, don't worry. But you just got to careful marking up. Use the straight edges of. I'm not using a T-square, right? If you've got a T-square, which I don't currently, use the edges of the material to form straight lines. Using a long and a short straight edges so that you can then line everything out nice and accurate. Get it all correct. So I'm cutting the base first because I like to work from the bottom up. Once it does mark this surface, just have to and then I'm going to mark off the short dimension, which is 153mm. Now, I know that I can get 2 out of this width, but there's going to be a bit of trimming on the far side. 2, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just being as careful as I can. And again, as careful as I can. It means that you could potentially get 2 of these out using a saw rather than using a knife like I'm going to be using, because you have space for wastage. Wastage is really important when you're using a saw, because depending on the kind of saw you're using, you'll get more or less wastage depending on the lined up cut. So I'm just going to get these marked up rather than just blathering whilst you watch me drawing lines. Main thing is that you're getting accurate lines, and this will form. See, not lined up properly. This will form the 4 bases for 4 buildings. I'm going to build 4 hat blocks simultaneously for the sake of efficiency, and look at the wrong mark, you see? Already making mistakes. Trying to optimize material consumption here. I want to get as many buildings as I can out of as little materials as I can. And then I'm going to pre-mark 200, 1, 2, 3. Now when you're doing all this, always take from the cleanest edges you can. And that way you will always get the closest to a right angle. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Cutting by hand. Well, even if you cut a computer, you expect deviation. It's good to have a good steel rule, don't buy a cheap one. I had an aluminium one at one point, and when I was cutting, I managed to take a chunk out of the edge of it with a Stanley blade, so it wasn't straight anymore. It was really annoying. So I'm just going to cut these out, and I'll get back to you in a mo once I've got these all cut out. In fact, just to show you, first cut, let's find out exactly how easy this is. This is 3mm Palite I'm using. When I was looking at modelling guides, some people recommended using thicker. Now I don't press too hard when I'm cutting. I would rather make several passes. Also, especially on the first cut, I have to find if you press hard what you really do. There you go, it's going through. There you go, easy peasy. Alright, I'll get back to you in a bit. Having just marked these up, writing on them just so that I know that this is the bottom. And I'm just writing each block on it so I know. Because these also indicate the footprint of the building, and you need to know which bit is which, especially if you, like I said, I'm making 4 at once, so keep track of your pieces. I'm just going to get all the other bits cut out, and then just to show you how many pieces I'm having to cut in order to build an X block. Okay, catch you in a bit. After, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours of cutting, I've got all of my key pieces. I've got all the offcuts as well. Keep the offcuts, these will make stairwells and detail bits later. Everything's in stacks of 4, so, and labelled, so I know exactly what it is. Things like flat floors, this will be a floor for one of the flats. It still hasn't been cut into the correct shape. All the detail work windows still haven't been cut yet. But before I do that, I'm starting to do this. So this is going to be the roof, and as you can see, I've etched in a hexagon pattern. This is mostly to keep it in with the theme of infinity. They really use a lot of hexagons. And this is done simply by laying over a hex grid, which I just banged out on Illustrator, but any art program you got, or you can probably find a hex grid online, print off a load of them. And Palite is actually soft enough that just with a biro, and I used a dash line so that I could clearly see when I'd drawn over it. You need to press quite firmly, but as you can see it comes out, etches a hex grid in. If you're working straight over this green removable layer as well, the plastic layer that peels off, you could spray mount it onto the plastic, draw on and then peel off the plastic, and you won't have any spray mount on the material underneath, so you could actually do some quite complicated etching work if you so desire. But for the moment I'm just doing these hexagonal tiles. I'm doing this to the roof. I'm going to do it to all of the flat floors. Let me just get that in focus. Yeah, all of the flats floors. So these each, yeah, there's quite a lot. Each of the balconies, which is here, these are for the fire escape. So yeah, I'm going to crack on and get all these done. As you can see, I've printed off a whole load of these. I'm just using pink paper because I haven't had pink paper and I don't really have any other use for it, so I just as well use it as on a task like this. So I'm going to crack on with this and I'll get back to you when it's done, which will probably be in a few hours time. Right, before I get too far ahead of myself, just to give you a quick demo of how I'm doing this. I'm folding it in to the paper so that it's secured. I'm getting a ruler, picking one of the lines, and then literally just scrubbing that line. I'm working all of the one set of diagonals at the same time, so literally swap to the next diagonal. And I've found this is the fastest way for me to work. It might not be appropriate for you, and you just scrub it in. Just get down to it. I mean, it takes time, but I found this is actually a pretty quick and efficient way to do it. And then once you've worked all the way along this diagonal, swap to the next diagonal, and then all the horizontals, and that's it done. It does take a bit of time. Be careful with lining it up. But I don't know, this is about as easy as I've been able to make it. I started off drawing each line individually with a free hand. And it does work, but you know what? I made a lot more mistakes than I have been since I've been doing this, and it took 2 or 3 times as long. And anything that saves time is wonderful as far as I'm concerned. This is also the reason why we have a short and a long straight edge. When I was cutting down all the long lines, I've got the long straight edge for cutting. The shorter things, I've got the short steel to work with. So yeah, I'm just going to crack on with this now, and once I've got all of these done, I will look into. Once I've got all of these done, I will mark them up for any other additional cutting. So like the floor for a flat, it'll have a balcony, so it'll have the corners trimmed off, but it's easier to mark up the etched paving slab kind of effect whilst it's still in the square format. So yeah, I'm going to just crack on. Catch you in a moment. Okay, so this is about 4 hours later, and everything has that I want hexes on now has hexes on. I think I'm going to call this one this, and so the next video will be, well, by the time I start the next video, these will all be cut to shape, ready to go, and I will be dealing with cutting in the windows. I'll have them all marked up for you, so you don't have to watch me marking it up. I might show you some of the marking up to show you the process. But for the meantime, take care everybody, have fun and enjoy.